welcome. We are here with Catherine and Doug, and first we'd like to just build some content. Catherine is a media personality and is here in the Arizona area with a new TV show, The Daily Mix, which we got to be a part of last week, so we're so grateful to have her here. And her husband, Doug, who has his own business, and we are just so grateful to dive right in with you guys and talk about what it's like being a power couple.
Thanks. Well, we appreciate you considering us a power couple.
Yes, absolutely.
We've been married 3 years, so I guess that makes us extra powerful, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because when we first met, I have to tell you what stood out to me is you said you guys had been together for 3 years, and you said you were newlyweds. Mm-hmm. And that really stood out to me because we've talked to a lot of people that say there's this conversation for 1 year is your newlywed period. So it really stood out to me that you guys would say you were newlyweds. So tell me a little bit about how you create that. Here you are 3 years in, still saying you're newlyweds.
Well, we've been together 5 years, and I think the cutoff traditionally is 2 years when you're not allowed to be a newlywed anymore. Mm-hmm. But we like to break the rules.
I love that. Well, take us back a little bit before you met. Did you both know what you were looking for in a partner? Because I think that's people wonder that a lot. Do I need to know exactly what the partner is going to be like?
Not necessarily so.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for somebody that would make me be the best person I could be. Mm-hmm. And she certainly does that.
And I actually had dated a lot longer than he did after my first marriage, and it is terrible. Mm-hmm. I don't recommend it. So I kind of, through process of elimination, figured out what I wanted. I just didn't think it existed. And then when he walked in, it was like, oh my goodness, perfection does exist. So yeah, I kind of figured it out along the way, but I think had I met him sooner, I probably wouldn't have known that he was the right person because I wasn't at that point yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a great point too. You said you've known each other for 5 years, is that right?
Uh-huh.
So it probably wasn't right away that you said, this is the person that's going to grow me the most. So can you point to like a time where you both said, I think this is the person I'm really meant to be with, create a partnership because this person's going to grow me more together?
I would have to say it was probably the first day that we had lunch. We met for lunch, and I think we were there for about almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it was nonstop conversation. Mm-hmm. Everything was flowing, and I got out of there. I was like, wow, I didn't have this type of conversation with anybody. And it was just so fascinating to be able to just roll, and things were just flowing very fluently. So I was like, this is awesome. This is her.
Yeah, and I think I probably figured out right away too that he was special. And I think as the relationship grew, what stood out to me was that he made me want to be a better person. Mm-hmm. You know, you think you've got it all together, and then you realize, maybe I didn't have it together so much, but then he kind of makes me want to go to that next level, both not only as a significant other, but also in all areas of my life, being a better mother, being a better coworker, just happiness to a different degree. I think that's when you kind of know it's the right thing.
I love that. So many people say that too when they meet that person. It's like someone who makes me want to grow. And something we've noticed in our partnership is that we do challenge each other to grow, and sometimes it doesn't always feel really good, right? You kind of bring up the things that they're coming to the surface for a reason. Right. So how do you handle that when there is something that maybe is a little bit confronting for one of you? You know, how do you, as the person being confronted, handle that? And then the person, like, I know when Aaron, sometimes he brings something up for me, you know, he gives me grace and space for that. So how do you handle those situations?
I always put myself in the other person's shoes before I react to something. There's a lot of times where I'll want to react right away, but I don't. Mm-hmm. And she's, kind of trying to get me, and I'm like, yeah, it takes time because you don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not always the guy that's got the best words, so I have to think. I'm not a journalist, so it just takes time, and
Well, I would definitely say that he's not a confrontational person, and I don't know if I would consider myself a confrontational person, but I definitely like to say what's on my mind. I don't like things to fester for very long. So I think trying to get him to just say what's on his mind right away has been a little bit of a work in progress, but I could probably count on one hand the number of times that we've actually gotten into an argument. So we are always on the same page more often than not. And even when we have a quote unquote argument, it really is about just opening up and just saying what's on our mind and you know, just trying to figure out how to come to a compromise, which really happens pretty easily because we talk it out. I think, I know it sounds cliche to say communication is key, but it really is. I mean, you have to be able to say in a fair way, you know, what's bothering you or, you know, what at that moment in time you don't particularly like, and see it from the other person's perspective. I think when I say that he makes me a better person, it's because he has taught me to see things from somebody else's perspective, which, you know, sometimes you're just not used to doing that.
And it brings me to a question. I can hear how much you guys have individually, right? Doug, business owner, and father, even separate. Catherine, you've been in the media and you're a great video storyteller, also a mother, and I'm really hearing how you guys have come together. And so would you say you have now like a combined vision for like who you are as a partnership? Because individually you guys are powerful, we can really tell. But you guys have like a vision for your partnership, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, family's definitely first for us. And we're very, very blessed because we have these awesome kids that are terrific individuals, but when they come together, it's magic. And I think that we are so blessed because our kids really do function like they were born siblings. And I think that's made it really easy for us just as a blended family and both as a couple, because we don't have to worry about some of those external issues that come up sometimes when you are remarried and you bring kids into the mix. We've just really been lucky.
Our baggage is
Minimal.
Prada, that kind of stuff.
Got it, yes.
It's not bad baggage.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a blended family, which so many people can relate to, which is really, really beautiful. And what do you think is the foundation of that being strong? What do you feel like is that element, that magic ingredient to that really thriving?
Probably being understanding.
Yeah. Well, when I say they're special on their own, they're just really kind children. They would never purposely hurt anybody on their own. And so I think they saw us in the best that we brought out in each other. I remember, I think it was Caitlin, or maybe it was Travis, said to me, you know, thanks for making my dad so happy. You know, so they recognize those things in us individually and how we are together. So I just think that calmed any sort of angst they may have had, which I really don't think they did ever.
No.
Yeah.
And all of our kids are very outgoing anyways.
Yeah.
So that made it very easy. You know, there's not one that's, you know, very quiet. They're very...
And his children are a little older, and so
I started
when he refers to my kids, because they've lived in the house with us together, it's our kids. Whereas I tend to catch myself sometimes, and I introduce mine as my stepkids because I've never lived with them. Well, I lived with my stepson for a little while, but it was just a little while. And so my stepdaughter was on the show this morning, and when I tweeted our picture, I like to call them my bonus kids, because I feel like, you know, they were the icing on the cake, so to speak.
I love that. Well, and it's so powerful to hear you share about that. I also have a step-parent, and I love it. I love my stepmom.
Yeah.
And you both are, I'm sure, have a full life. We don't like to really say busy. It's, you know, people overuse the word busy, but you have a full life. And
I like that. I'm going to adopt that.
yeah, yeah, it's so much. It's like people have so much like anxiety around being busy. So we say, oh, your life is really full. So with, your careers, I know you're really involved with the communities and your kids. How do you make sure there is time for your communication, seeing as how you find that a really important element of your relationship?
Well, I try to include Doug in just about everything I possibly can. And what's wonderful about being married to somebody like him, a confident, strong man, is that we can walk into a room where I have to be on, and I could be pulled away for an hour and I'll come back and he's probably got 25 new friends. So I know that he is so confident and comfortable in who he is that I don't have to worry about him. And he usually ends up, making people laugh. So he's got a great sense of humor. So I think for me as a person with a full life, that is the best compliment for me. What about you?
You're just a compliment altogether. I'm not sure. There's just so many.
Here's what I would say is probably one of the best things about our relationship is that we so enjoy each other and each other's company. And so we do look for those opportunities as often as we can to have our date night. And usually we end up with more date nights than not because our son is almost 14 and he just wants to be with his friends. So lots of sleepovers. So we end up with these date nights. But we enjoy each other, but we don't have to be with each other all the time.
Seeing as how you have such a full life and you have your kids and your careers, how do you make sure there's time for your communication? And you were speaking about date nights.
Well, we do talk a lot. I call him probably too many times during the day just because he's the first person I want to share things with, and because, if I'm thinking of something, I call him. But we do end up with more date nights than not because we have a teenage son who likes to be off and do sleepovers with friends. So we make sure to enjoy that time together. We love being with our friends, but we also appreciate the fact that it's important to be with our friends individually too. To have your separation at the same time. You can love each other immensely and love being around each other, but it's important to have your alone time sometimes too.
Individual.
Doug, I have a question I've been just dying to ask you. And, it's around being with, your partner being a powerful woman. And by powerful, I mean bold, knowing what she wants. And I know you quoted, you were just set that you were going to be successful and you knew what you were going to be like around 20 years old. So I consider myself with a powerful woman also. So someone that's like, very opinionated, clear, bold. For the male ego, if you will, because I've had to come up for myself, what's that like for you where guys would say like, oh, you have to be the man, you have to be this bold ego person. How do you really deal with that, or how do you handle that when if it comes up for you, being with a bold partner?
Probably the thing that I hear the most is people call me Mr. Anaya. And I've learned over the years that I let a lot of things just roll off my back. Being married to an inspirational person like she is, it's a plus. It's like having that card in your back pocket. She's, I wouldn't change it for the world.
He doesn't have to babysit me.
No.
And I'll give you an example of being a strong man. So this past weekend I was out of town and we had 3 couples getting together, friends of ours, and he went as the 7th wheel because he was by himself for the weekend and they invited him and he went. Most men I know would not do that. That is a very comfortable, confident man, and I loved seeing the picture of him with all our friends, even though I wasn't there, and then they superimposed my face in it as if I was there. But it was great. I love that.
I love that you have such a partnership, but also you have your independence or your individual confidence and strength, which is so powerful. So just to wrap up, if you were to share one piece of wisdom to the couples that are watching, and they might be in different positions, maybe their relationship is just starting, maybe they're struggling, or maybe their relationship's thriving, just what would you share to all couples?
I'll let you go first.
I would probably say be each other's best friend, be understanding, cherish the time that you have with one another. I think a lot of couples don't do that. I think a lot of couples don't spend enough time where you're with just each other. And that you get so, our lives today are so
Busy. Full.
very busy.
Full.
Well, there you go.
That you lose track of each other and you can't. And that's why we've made it a point that we have to have date night. And that's what I would recommend.
Ask me that again.
So if you were to
taken by
yeah,
his
it was beautiful.
response,
It was really
yeah.
well. If you were to share a piece of wisdom with the couples that are listening, what would you say?
I would say to communicate. It's so important, even if it's the positive things. You know, sometimes we just text each other, "I love you," throughout the day or for no reason. It's just important to say what's on your mind at whatever moment it is, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Just to keep that person clued into your daily life. Like you said, it's very full, and I think you just need to stay in constant communication. And also when there is an issue that arises, to make sure to talk about it and not let it fester or build up. And spend those quality moments together, whether it's alone or with your kids or with your friends. It's just so important to just sort of, reignite things on a regular basis, I think.
Powerful. Well, you two are a power couple, and I know that I'm inspired. I know that the couples listening are inspired, and you've made